Hello. All right, let's go over the warm-up. Make sure you guys understand if you got it wrong, why you got it wrong, and if you got it right, why you got it right. So it says, Charles works on the 12th floor of an office building. He went to lunch at the cafeteria on the 4th floor. Which integer represents the number of floors Charles traveled? Well, we have to figure out how many floors he traveled first. So if he works on the 12th floor and he went all the way down to the 4th floor, you have to figure out how many numbers are between 12 and 4. So to do that, you do 12 minus 4, which is 8. So he traveled 8 floors. But it says which integer represents the number of floors he traveled. So he traveled 8, but in what direction did he travel? He traveled from 12 down to 4, so he was going down. So because he traveled in a downward direction, you have to use negative sign to represent the number of floors he traveled. So the answer here is -8, letter A. All right, so let's move on to the lesson. So right now you should have this paper in front of you and something to write with, okay? So we're going to learn about subtracting integers. First, let's review adding integers. So I want you to pause the video, take a minute, and answer answer A through D, and then these 2 questions underneath it. So again, pause the video, and then when you're done with those, play the video and see if you got them right. So at this point, you should have tried these on your own, and remember, you can type these in your calculator. So A, B, and C are all posted. So A, -4 plus -9 is -13. B, -15 plus 10 is -5. C, -9 plus -90 is -99. And let's go through D together. So an absolute value in here. So first, you'd have to do 3 plus -9. The answer to that is -6. But then we have to figure out what the absolute value of -6 is. Absolute value of -6 is +6. +6 plus -6 gets you 0. So the answer here is 0. And this right here is a vocab word. We call that a 0 pair. All right, let's get to the lesson. So subtracting integers says use what you learned in lessons 1 and 2 to model the following questions on each number line. So letter A, we have 5 minus 3. So we always start at 0. I'm going to go to 5. And then because we're subtracting 3, I'm going to go back 3 to the left. 1, 2, 3. So 5 minus 3, we know is 2. We knew that already anyway. Letter B, 5 plus -3. So again, we're starting at 0, going to 5, and then we're adding a -3. So adding -3, we're adding a negative, we go on the left. 1, 2, 3. We end up at 2. So take a minute, pause the video. It says, what do you notice about comparing both number lines? So look at those number lines, decide what you notice, write it down, and then press play. So you should have noticed that they are the same. 5 minus 3 is 2, and 5 plus -3 is 2. So what that means is that subtracting is the same thing as adding a negative number. Just like it is on the number line, when you actually do the calculations, adding a negative is the same thing as subtracting. So really, we already learned how to add negatives, so you really do already know how to subtract integers. All right, next we have 2 other number lines. Why don't you, again, pause the video, take a minute, and try to do those number lines on your own. So if you do the number lines on your own, and then when you're ready, you can press play and see if your answers or your pictures match mine. So again, press pause. Okay, so let's check to see. So letter C, 3 plus -4. You start at 0, you go to 3, and then you're adding -4. Remember, when you're adding a negative, you're going to the left. So 1, 2, 3, 4. You end up with -1. Let's try subtracting. So letter D, you start at 0, you go to 3. Subtracting 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. You go back, still at -1. again, same thing, adding a negative is the same as subtracting. So subtracting integers is the same as adding the opposite. These two examples have the second number being negative in this and here. It's possible that it's that it could be positive as well. So we rewrite subtraction expressions as addition expressions using this rule. It's called leave, add, opposite. LAO. Sometimes we call it LAO. So leave, add, opposite, which means you leave the first number alone, you change subtraction to addition, and then you take the opposite or rewrite the opposite of the second number. So rewrite each expression using the rule, then find the sum. So let's talk about number 1. We'll do that one together, and then you'll try the bottom on your own. So -5 minus 8. So leave the first number, -5, change subtraction to addition. Again, let's see if I can change this. So leave, we left -5 alone, I rewrote it over here. Add, subtraction became addition, and then opposite, we take the opposite of +8, which is -8. So -5 plus -8 is your rewritten expression. And the answer to that would be -13. Now, you could type this in your calculator. You can type in -5 minus 8 and get -13, but as a 7th grader, you're responsible for knowing the addition expression given the subtraction expression. So this piece right here, what I'm having you do in the middle, is just as important as the final answer. In fact, it might be more important because the standard says you have to be able to rewrite these subtraction expressions as addition. Okay? So again, press pause, try these on your own for a minute or so, and when you are ready, you can check to see if you got your answers right. And go ahead, press pause. Okay, so I filled in some of the answers here. Sorry. So 1 minus 2, number 2 became 1 plus -2. The answer is -1. Number 3, -4 minus 8 became -4 plus -8. The answer here is -12. Number 4, 10 minus -9 became 10 plus 9. You got 19. Okay, so hopefully you got all those right. If not, you can raise your hand and I can help you figure out what you did wrong. Then number 5, here we have, I want to do this together because it's absolute value. Make sure we get this right. So first we're going to rewrite this expression. So we have -4, so leave, add, change subtraction to addition. Opposite of 3 is -3. This is all still in these absolute value bars. So then we solve that. -4 plus -3 is, is -7. But to the absolute value of -7. And remember, the absolute value is the distance from 0 on a number line. So the absolute value of -7 is +7. So the answer here is +7. And hopefully you guys got that right. All right, so I want you to flip over to the back page. And I would like you to try all of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 questions. Well, I guess 5 because I'm going to go do number 1 with you. I want you to try writing the expression, rewriting it using LAO, and then solving using a calculator. Okay, so we have to write it, rewrite it using LAO, and then solve. So number 1, the record high temperature for Massachusetts is 104 degrees Fahrenheit. The record low temperature is -18. What is the difference between high and low? So difference is subtraction. So we're going to subtract these two numbers. 104 minus -18. 18th. That's your expression. Now I'm going to rewrite the expression using leave, add, opposite. So I'm leaving 104 alone. I'm changing this subtraction to addition, and then I'm taking the opposite of negative 18, which is positive 18. And then you go ahead and type that in your calculator. 104 plus 18 is, oh, can I do that in my head? 122 degrees, and that is your answer. Okay, so I hope you can try the rest of these on your own. When you do finish, you may raise your hand and I will give you the answer key on paper, and you can check to see if you got any of those, well, hopefully all of them right. And if you have any questions as to why you got any of them wrong, that is where you'll ask me. Okay? All right, get to it.